know what this place is. The timekeepers have built quite the circus. And I see the clowns are playing their parts to perfection.
Big metaphor guy. I love it. Makes you sound super smart.
I am smart.
I know.
Okay.
Okay.
Please sign to verify this is everything you've ever said.
This is absurd.
Sign this too.
We protect the proper flow of time. You picked up the Tesseract, breaking reality. I want you to help us fix it.
Why me?
I need your unique Loki perspective.
Do I get a weapon?
Nah.
You really believe in this Loki variant?
Luckily, he believes in himself enough for the both of us.
Why? It is adorable that you think you could possibly manipulate me. I'm 10 steps ahead of you.
You're not big on trust, are you?
You can trust me.
Loki, I've studied almost every moment of your entire life. You've literally stabbed people in the back like 50 times.
I'd never do it again.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Cosmic Culture, the channel where we talk about all major movie and television news, breakdowns, theories, and more. I'm Chris, and we just got the coolest Loki trailer that was dropped today. It's the second full trailer, and it gave us an insane insight to what to expect on June 11th when the series goes live on Disney+. We got a really good behind-the-scenes look at what's going on with the TVA and how Loki's involvement is going to be so important. And also we got a good look at the original and normal Loki comedy, sarcasm, manipulation that will be going on throughout. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you love to stay up to date on all major movie and television news, MCU, DC, Star Wars, and more. We're covering it here daily on the channel. Also turn on that notification bell and comment down below how excited you are for this series. So the trailer begins with how the series will probably start off, and that is Loki getting drug into the TVA headquarters against his will, which is pretty obvious, and the Tesseract is in the hand of the agent that brings him in. He starts off being pretty much normal Loki as we know him up to this point, where he's got to make fun of the establishment, of everything going on, and all of the people working there, and he says, "I know where I am," and then he calls everybody a bunch of clowns, and Owen Wilson's character kind of just laughs it off and plays along with him, saying, "Huh, you sound super smart." This is pretty important because the entire idea of what's going on here is the TVA wants Loki's help. So, although they've captured him, he's there against his will, they need to play nice with him in order to get him to do what he wants. They aren't treating him just yet like a criminal, although it does seem like during some processing where he's standing in this strange room with all the lines, he has to sign the contract of everything he ever said, which is shown again right after this part. He definitely goes through some criminal-like processing. But then later on again, they come to him and they say, "We need your help to set these variants of time that you destroyed when you grabbed the Tesseract back in order." Now, when you start messing around with time and different variants and different multiverses, it gets kind of interesting. And that is brought up in this trailer about this variant of Loki. And the first time we actually see that is when he is signing the contract after he says, "This is absurd." And they pull up the contract and it says variant 11130. Now, this is in reference to the type, or rather multiverse existing origins of Loki. And it's interesting again when it's brought up later and they ask, "Do you trust this variant of Loki?" It's important to keep in mind the Loki that we know is dead. Thanos killed him, he didn't come back to life. Thanos said himself, "No more resurrections this time." Now, the same Loki managed to escape in a earlier timestamp, so I don't know if this makes him a different variant or the same variant, or if having escaped with the Tesseract changed his history and it was always expected to be, and that variant existed in that sense. I don't know if that makes sense, but there is a difference to this Loki than the Loki that we last saw. In that, at the very least, this is post-New York destruction Loki, and not I've come to amends with Thor, and although I'm still Loki and you can't really trust me, I've gone through some good phases. He still hasn't done that yet, so definitely interesting to see how this is going to affect him moving forward, and how, as far as the TVA needs to trust him, that's going to have an effect moving forward. So Owen Wilson continues on his monologue after the part where he signs the contract about saying everything he's ever said, and he talks about how Loki grabbing the Tesseract and using it has affected the timeline, and he's gonna need Loki to help fix it. Now they show this little graph and it kind of looks like a river or a vein, and it starts to branch off. Now this is probably similar to what the Ancient One was showing the Hulk when she threw the line and timeline across the screen when Hulk went to get the Time Stone. And obviously this is a very important part of the movie in Avengers Endgame, where she talks about how important and crucial it is for everything to remain the same it was after they go and they take the pieces. And Hulk understood, saying, well, if we bring all of the individual items and the Infinity Stones back exactly to where we took them after we're finished using them, the timeline might remain the same. And that they did, except for Loki, who got away when they were trying to collect the Tesseract. So that is going to cause an off-spurring issue, which we're seeing on this diagram and this graph here, even if you can visualize it like the Ancient One's line, only with different spurs falling off. This is what she was referring to when everything could come apart and start crumbling when you start manipulating and messing with time. So they start going through these portals, and they're off to use Loki and his special perspective, as they put it, to fix all of the things that went wrong. As they go through the portal, we do get a cool Easter egg for Roxanne. However, right now it's called Rock's Cart, and that might be because of the different variants in time where they are going, and the name in this variant of time is Rock's Cart instead of Roxanne. But it's a really cool little Easter egg that they threw in there, and it'll be interesting to see if this is more than just an Easter egg, or if Roxanne, or Rock's Cart rather, is going to have some important involvement moving forward in the MCU. From this point moving forward, a good chunk of the trailer is an action sequence while they monologue about whether or not they can trust Loki in the background, and him saying that he's 10 steps ahead of everybody, but we see some interesting stuff while he jumps around in different time parts. Other than just him going to town on a ton of different people and doing some very cool martial arts, Loki fighting style, he gets some knives eventually, and he takes on a lot of different people. Some of them appear to be the TVA, some of them appear to be other forces and problems that he has to take care of during his crazy journey in this series. But I also want to take note of this scene here, which is an extremely crumbled down New York. You can see the Avengers Tower kind of standing there behind him, even though it is pretty much falling apart and ready to fall down. And maybe this is Loki seeing the destruction that he causes in a different time period if everything he was trying to do in New York ended up passing through and happening. So he gets to see what the effects of being Loki would be in other universes or under different variants, or what happens because of the time change that he caused. So that'll be very interesting to see that different perspective and what would have happened if Loki won. It's almost like a MCU style of Marvel What If, where we'll be able to see live action consequences for different scenarios without the actual consequences. More like what would have happened if Loki won over New York, and what would have happened if Loki was king of Asgard. We're going to get to see these scenarios play out as Loki goes through manipulating time, trying to fix the time, and working against the TVA. Now, as we see in this trailer, and it's very prominent, one of the big questions is whether or not the TVA, or Owen Wilson specifically, can trust Loki. And they make the funny joke about how Owen has studied his life, and he knows that Loki has specifically stabbed people in the back over 50 times. And he's like, well, I'll never do it again. So that is a huge part of this trailer. But we see he kind of starts to get the TVA jacket, he starts to get the suit and tie, and maybe he actually will accept a job working for the TVA to right his wrongs, because he's getting kind of upset about seeing all the ways he's wronged everybody and lied to his brother and tried to take over New York and all of that. So we might actually get back to a more repentant Loki like he was in Avengers Endgame when he sacrificed himself for his brother. So, very interesting trailer, and it gave us a lot. It gave us a clear storyline, and we don't really have that up to this point with the Loki series, and I'm very, very excited for this to come out after Falcon and the Winter Soldier concludes. It is non-stop action right now. Black Widow should be coming out soon as well, and then the Loki series after already having WandaVision and currently being in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So Disney Plus has given us a lot of opportunity for some great MCU content, and I for one am extremely excited for this Loki series. Out of all of the Disney Plus shows, this is probably the one I'm most excited for. Let me know what you thought about the trailer and how excited you are in the comment section down below. Consider subscribing if you are new to the channel or if you've been around for a few videos and haven't done so yet. As always, thank you to everybody who watched to the very end of the video, and we'll see you in the next one right here on Cosmic Culture.